7 years sober, guys, and this is video 85. And the reason why I'm gonna talk about my recovery today is because if I didn't get sober, I wouldn't have the life that I have today. But before I got sober, I went through a lot of trials and tribulations. The more that I tell my story, the more profound it's going to be. The more it's going to make sense, right? And why did I start drinking at such a young age? Why did I start drinking at 12 years old? Because I wanted to be part of that human experience. I had that FOMO where I saw everybody around me having a good time. And I also watched a lot of movies growing up as a little kid. So like all the bad kids were doing drinking, doing dumb things, and those are the cool kids. So I just wanted to be one of the cool kids, even though I was so shy. I was so afraid of life. I grew up very sheltered though, but I also grew up in Central America, so it didn't make sense then because I would see all the kids outside play, and then it was just me, like, in my backyard with my dogs. I had magazines, like, I was obsessed with dogs. And looking at it today, those are times that I would die to go back for, right? I would die to go back to those days, and even if I could just go back in a way where I have my older self already, and I could talk to my younger self and tell him that, dude, it's all good. You know what I mean? It's all good. But everything that I did today is for my younger self, right? There was a time in my life where I was so afraid of talking on the camera. But let's go back to the story of, my younger self, wanting to be like all the other kids, wanting to be accepted. I grew up around older cousins too, uncles. They were in their 18s. They were older. They were drinking already. They were doing their own thing. And I'm like, wow, like, that looks so cool. That looks so fun, And that was life, man. Life was so beautiful then, too, though, at the same time. Even though I had this desire of wanting to be out and about, wanting to be social. But I was so shy. And coming to the U.S. gave me that, like, freedom. Like, I went from being really disciplined, going to a private school, being super sheltered, to having more freedom. And at 12 years old, I was like, dude, I want to experience life for what it is, right? And I got to experience life for what it is. Not that I only, I looked for the experience, but only to lose myself, right? I started drinking at 12. I started smoking cigarettes. I started hanging out with the wrong people. I started getting in so much trouble that I asked myself, how do I get out of this trouble? I didn't know how to get out of that trouble because I was so caught up in all the negativity. The more that I seek negativity, the more negative I became as a person. The more that I started hating my life, the more that I started to hate my existence. And then I even questioned, is God even real? I started questioning so much. And before everything happened to this crazy, like, I grew up Catholic. I got baptized at 11, 12. At 12, I got baptized. And after that, I just didn't want that, right? So I decided to take the wrong path. And from 12 to 17, it was straight chaos. I put my mom through a lot. And I could say that today she's one of my best friends. I have an amazing relationship with my parents. And I wouldn't want it any other way. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be the person I am becoming. That's just the reality. But, the coolest thing about life is that God has put a lot of amazing people in my life. And, one of my friends asked me, like, you really think there's a purpose behind everything? I'm like, absolutely. God puts people in your life in order for you to continuously keep growing. Even if people are super transparent with you, right? Like, you need the truth. The truth is what sets you free. It's what creates you into the person that you're always meant to be. And, yeah, man, it was beautiful. It's beautiful to see, like, what life has had for me. Even though I could dwell on the past and be like, wow, like, I wish I didn't start drinking at such a young age. I wish I didn't waste so much time. But if anything, I was able to create a cool story where I'm able to tell this story to you guys and hopefully help somebody that is going through what I went through, wanting to get out of themselves through drinking, lust, whatever it may be, vaping, because it's all vices at the end of the day, right? We want to experience life, and then we want to experience these things, but then we become the experience. As we become the experience, we lose ourselves. And then as you lose yourself, who were you in the first place? So you have to fully detach from all those things and understand that you are who you desire to be, right? And it's more so you're trying to escape a reality, but instead of escaping it, accept it, right? Like, why did I start drinking at 12? Because I wanted to escape my reality. I didn't like my upbringing, so instead, I would decide to just numb myself completely. And today I don't numb myself because I have a purpose. My purpose is a lot greater than my own egotistical desires. My purpose is to help and serve others. God's will is greater than my own egotistical desires, literally. But I went to rehab at 18. As I went to rehab at 18, I found myself at a place where it's like I went from hating my mom to literally crying for my mom in rehab. I was around kids that did not care, man. I was in a bunk bed. They threw me off that bunk bed. I had a bruise on my back, or like on the side of my back. And I was just like this white boy, you know, wearing Vineyard Vines and like, you know, I would try to like fit in so much with the preppy white kids, and then coming to realize that wasn't even me. But whatever, apart from that, I got made fun of for that, you know, good times. I can look back at it today and laugh, right? And I can look back at it today and laugh and make a YouTube video about it. That's the beauty of life, right? Like, when I was 14 years old, I wanted to create videos. I wanted to vlog, but I was so afraid of putting my face in the camera. It was pathetic. But here we are today. But let's go back to the rehab story. I was on my live yesterday, and I shared how I went to rehab. And then I was like, yeah, I became a big brother. But before becoming a big brother, I got high in the dorm with the guys. And then I tried diluting my pee. And then they were questioning me like, yo, like, did you get high? I was like, no, I didn't. And then eventually it came out because they put me in a room and my mom was there. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to keep lying, especially to my mother, my poor mom. You know what I mean? And then, boom, you know, the truth came out. Like, you know what, we'll keep you here for 5 more days. But after that, I pulled up in a way where I was like, you know what, I want to get out of this place and I'm going to start behaving. I became a big brother. I started helping the kids that, you know, were coming into the program, making them feel welcome. And then I also became like, part of the dorm where I was taking care of the men's dorm. And so I would wake up at 4:45 in the morning, make my bed, and fold my clothes. Yeah. And I love the discipline behind that. But a lot of those kids that made fun of me, I was just like, you know, screw these kids. I started knocking their doors, screaming at them. It was full revenge, because I was always someone that I've been humbled. God puts me in my place because I deserve it sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm a very stubborn person. I know I could be very stubborn, but aren't we all sometimes, right? That's just part of the human experience. But yeah, I was full of ego, man. I like the leadership behind it, and that's where I was like, you know, I want to go to the military. And looking back at it today, I screwed that up because I decided to, you know, get out of rehab. I got out of rehab. I stayed sober for 110 days. I was going to PT, fire. And yeah, I went to PT a little hungover. And then one of my friends at that time, like one of the kids that was there at that time, he told the instructor. So I like to believe that it's not that I like to believe. I know God's will is greater than anything. Like, that wasn't part of the plan. That wasn't God's plan for me at that time. And still listen to this day, and that's perfectly fine, right? Because if I would have gone to the military, it would have been a different story. And that story wasn't for me to, it wasn't a story for it to be revealed. Let's just say that, right? But yeah, man, homie told on me, and then yeah, that took the opportunity away from me. And in 2023, I tried going back. I wanted to go to the Navy, and they're like, nah, bro, you're cooked. But it's fine. Like I said, God's will, not mine. I'm grateful for it all, you know. But if I do get the opportunity to go, so I will. And why would I want to go to the military? Because I love America. You know, it's given me the life that I would have not had in my country, right? It's given me an amazing life. It's given an opportunity for me to work and meet amazing people, but most importantly for me to get sober. If I wasn't sober, I wouldn't be here right now. There's many times in my times of drinking where I lost myself completely and I almost died. you know, and by the grace of God, I'm here today, right? But yeah, even, you know, I first got sober at 20. I was sober for 20 months, constantly getting out of self, seeking validation from women, the gym. It was not spiritual at all. But one thing that helped me to get into AA and actually getting sober was the gym. The gym saved my life. But I went from being the gym to understanding that it was a spiritual game. And everything that happens in this world today is a spiritual war. It's a spiritual war where it's, you know, it's pretty sad. It's not sad, but once you understand the fact that it's a spiritual game and you detach yourself from the world, you'll come to the realization of the fact that a lot of the things that happen in this world don't matter. You're just a part of it. But you can also detach yourself from it and not pay attention to it. Why? Because what's meant to be in your life will be, and what's for you is already yours. It's always been yours, right? The world is a place where it's going to try to program you to have fear towards things that are going to come your way. It's messed up, you know, but the purpose of it all is to become mentally strong, sharpen the mind, hit the gym, become physically strong as well, run, get outside, go on runs, meet people, go out, travel, live life in a healthy manner. You don't have to get drunk. You don't have to go partying. You don't have to waste your time. Don't waste your time. And most importantly, grow spiritually. Get to know God. You know, this quote, I've also said it before too. It's you versus you. No, it's you versus God. Because God's by your side. You know, when you feel lonely, you're lacking spirituality. You're lacking that relationship with God. You're not alone. You were never alone. God is within you, right? And that's just part of my story, right? And like I said before, the more that I tell my story, the more profound it's going to be. God's will is greater than my own egotistical desires. Love you guys.